Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Off the Table, your weekly gaming news in 10 minutes or less. Or it would be under 10 minutes if we were doing what we normally do, but I was out last week, so we are catching up. We got a lot to cover. Today's episode came in around 12-ish minutes, but I knew you could handle it. But next week, we'll be back to our normal, nice, tight, under 10-minute shtick. So with that out of the way, let's enjoy the episode. Cheers. So for our news today, we're going to start with the biggest news of the year, or at least it feels like the biggest news of the year. The Spiel winners have been announced. So there are three primary categories that we're dealing with here. We have the Kinderspiel Award for 2019 Valley of the Vikings. This is the more like family level, kid-friendly game award. And then the Kennerspiel des Jahres of 2019 is going to Wingspan, the premier game by Elizabeth Hargrave. Man, what an accomplishment. Congratulations, Elizabeth. And might I point out that in German, that award is going to Flugelschlag. So next time you're playing Wingspan and thinking of how elegant it is, just remember you're playing Flugelschlag. And then finally, the Spiel, the #1 award. This is just the overall game award because Kennerspiel is the strategy game award, is Just One. I haven't played Just One. Have you played Just One? I want to know a lot more about Just One, considering it just won the Spiel des Jahres of 2019. So congratulations to all the winners. Speaking of all sorts of award shows, another really interesting award that I always try and pay attention to is the Diana Jones Award. Now, this is an interesting award because it's not specifically going to a game. It's actually to like a person, place, or thing. It's like a noun award. This is an award that has been around in the industry for a long time, and the people that are involved date even further back than that. So there's a lot of interesting things going on here, but the short list of potential award winners for their excellent contributions to the world of gaming, tabletop gaming, have been announced to be Dungeons & Dragons Art and Arcana, then Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr, The Mind, which, man, Pandasaurus really made a big breakthrough with getting The Mind. That gets so much attention these days. And then Star-Crossed. So good luck to all of them. I'm excited to see what's going on with the Diana Jones Award this year when they finally announce the winner. And then for our last bit of news, we have Archon Studios taking over for the Starfinder Masterclass miniatures. So we've actually talked about this before on the show. Starfinder Masterclass miniatures is, of course, taking the Starfinder brand by Paizo, which is like the futuristic sci-fi version of Pathfinder. And this was a miniature project that was originally helmed by Ninja Division. And we've talked about all sorts of Kickstarter problems that Ninja Division has been involved with. Long story short, this thing has been around for years. It was supposed to have been delivered over a year ago. A lot of people spent a lot of money on this and they thought they would get no return. And just today, as of recording this, Paizo posted an announcement on that Kickstarter that they have Archon Studios coming in and doing all the miniatures so people will get their fulfilled Kickstarter rewards. And that will bring us to our announcements. So we got some game announcements here. Portal has announced and is releasing the Imperial Settlers Empires of the North game. And this box art would lead you to believe that this is an expansion. It is not an expansion. It is a standalone game in the Imperial Settlers universe, which I think is really adorable, and I really like that game. And it's a standalone civilization building game that's supposed to be really approachable and fun and quick and all that stuff. I'm excited to see it. It's focusing on civilizations from Nordic countries. Then Funko Games has announced their debut title, Funkoverse Strategy Game, which is like a head-to-head battling game. And man, Funko Pops are continuing to take over the world, and they have like every IP under the sun. I mean, this thing's going to have Harry Potter and Rick and Morty and Golden Girls and Batman. Like, all of these different IPs are going to be playing together. I'm just hoping it's actually a good game, but yeah, we'll see. Then For the rest of our announcements here, we got a slew of CMON stuff. That's Cool Mini or Not, which I think they may have done away with the Cool Mini or Not branding and are just CMON these days. I don't know. If someone knows the deets on that, I would love to hear about it. CMON and IDW are teaming up to make a Dragon Ball Z game, and this is going to be a dice-driven game. It's going to be a head-to-head battle, and you are going to get your dream battles between any combatants from across the lore. What I know is that this is Dragon Ball, it's CMON, it's IDW, and it's a miniatures game, so I gotta imagine there's going to be about a bajillion Kickstarter exclusives. So I'm kind of leery about how they're going to manage the campaign with this, but on the other hand, this sounds really cool. And then we have CMON launching Trudvang Legends. I don't often do announcements for Kickstarters on here because typically I only cover when news is coming out rather than the actual action taking place, but I haven't heard a lot of talk about this. What seems really cool about it to me is that it's a 1 to 4 player cooperative adventure game, so think along the lines of maybe Agents of Smersh or Tales of Arabian Nights, but it's got a little bit more game meat on its bones. But it seems to be taking place in the universe, if not in the actual universe, but very artistically close to the Blood Rage universe, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the best CMON game that's come out to date. Well, no, I take that back. They actually have a lot of really good games. They have Ethnos, and then they have The Grizzled. But as far as what you think of when you think CMON, this game looks really rad. And then we have Teburu and Zombicide Evolution, and this is like the dystopian cyberpunk future of board games, because if you have any leeriness towards the app-driven board game, well, this is a whole new level, because not only is there going to be an app, but the dice are connected, the board itself is going to be wired to the system and is going to be sensitive to any sort of movements that's going on, and there's going to be sound that corresponds to it, and then you're going to have player boards that are actually on separate devices that everyone carries around with them. It's looking like CMON wants to have a platform for completely digitally integrated games that are still, in one way or another, physical board game products. They have a really slick trailer for this. I really can't say one way or another whether it's going to be a great thing or not until I get my hands on it. But they are going to debut this with their Zombicide Evolution Kickstarter in 2020. If nothing else, it'll be a novelty and interesting. I like app-driven games. I like the physicality of games. And at what point does a game become a video game? And that's going to take us to our highlight today. I talked recently with Daniel Letzring and Nicholas Yu, who are the creators, the masterminds behind Adventure Tactics, which if you're watching this show on the day that it comes out, then you can go ahead and check out their Kickstarter for Adventure Tactics. And the reason why I'm bringing it up here is because I wanted to talk with experienced Kickstarter creators, people who had really put their minds to building up Kickstarter campaigns and making sure launches go smoothly, and ask them about day one downloadable content. It seemed fitting because the game is so inspired by a type of video game, the tactical RPG, specifically Final Fantasy Tactics, and it's also going to have additional content that will come out simultaneously as the retail release. And I wanted to get the publisher perspective on why it is a good thing for consumers to have this simultaneously releasing content that is optional on the side. So here's their thoughts on it.
I talked a little bit on the business end of like the cost and how people want to go in, but the one thing I didn't touch on too is there's some people who are really involved in your campaign, right? Like there are people in your community who really want to help you, right? And some people, I've had in other campaigns where we're almost to a stretch goal and they're like, I'm just going to throw in additional copies of the game. I don't need it, but like I want to help you get there, right? Okay. And so things like this add incentive for people who want to add more to it, that bring more funds to the campaign, without like just forcing them to buy extra stuff that doesn't matter necessarily. You know what I mean? Like this is really additional content that people who want to contribute more, help the campaign succeed faster, can contribute more, get more content for the game that actually is really neat, playable content. But like I said, felt a little different from the base game and was kind of cut, you know what I mean, just for keeping it as a tight cost perspective. originally. So now people can go, a little more in. It's something that we got the art on, but again, it wasn't a huge investment for that. We've developed it, but adding the cards to the game is the biggest expense, and there's a mini we want to add. And again, we don't want to put too many minis in the base game, but if we see there's a big, crowd that wants this, then we're happy to add more into. There's one in the expansion. We might have more stretch goals, and so it's just additional ways to get content that's not going to jack up the price of the base game too much.
So I really appreciate Daniel and Nicholas taking the time to talk with me. I did a full interview with them, which I'm going to have up later this week on this channel. That's all about adventure tactics. That was just one small segment of it, but I really appreciate their candor in taking that question, which wasn't exactly like a softball pitch to them. So thank you, Nicholas and Daniel, for coming on to the show. As always, I love leaving you with a question, and because we talked about that Teburu thing, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, Teburu, and how it's intending to be this revolution in the world of board games, I wanted to know about what was a game that kind of changed your perspective about what board games were and what they could be, or tabletop games in general? For a lot of people, they would consider this their gateway game, the game that got them into modern tabletop gaming. You know what I'm talking about? But it doesn't have to be that. I know that there are plenty of milestones in my life. The first time that I played a cooperative game like Pandemic, the first time I played Catan, the first time I played a CCG with Magic the Gathering, or even Dragon Dice, where a CCG was adopted into a dice system. Or it could be the first time I played an app-driven game that I felt truly kind of revolutionized what we could do with physical pieces of cardboard. But I want to know, what are the games that you found to be revolutionary that changed your perspective? Let us know in the comments below. And that's going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for watching the Cardboard Heralds Off the Table. I've been your host, Jack, and I'll talk to you next week. Is that door closed? If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcasts, and video here on our channel and website, cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.